Hello YouTube. I want to do a quick video on what I think is one of the worst pieces of advice that I hear on YouTube all the time that I just want to give my opinion on. And that is, I hate when I watch YouTube videos with people who are like, if your job is bad and it's stressing you out, you should just quit your job. Just quit your job. Just walk away from your job. You can find another job. If your job is just stressing you out that bad, it's not worth the stress of having a bad job. I feel like YouTubers who say this either quit their job and got lucky and were able to find another job right away, or they have money and they're able to quit their job because they had money put away to hold them over to get another job for a little while. I hate this advice for the most part because it doesn't take into account a lot of people who don't have the ability to do that. You might be someone who's struggling with a kid or two, just barely paying the bills week to week, just literally living paycheck to paycheck to put food on the table and pay your bills. And if you take that advice to just quit your job, well, if you think the stress of having a bad job is bad, imagine the stress of trying to feed a kid or two and trying to pay your bills with no job. I imagine that would be just as stressful, if not more stressful, than having a bad job. And I'm not just talking about people with kids, because I don't have a kid. I have some money put away. Actually, if I want to quit my job, I could survive for a little bit, but I still probably wouldn't do that because I don't want to take the money I have put away and use it if I don't have to. I think the better advice would be to just tell people, if you're in a job you hate, if you can, try to look for a better job while you're still in that job, and then you can just leave one job and transfer into the next job without losing any of the income in the meantime. That to me makes a lot more sense than just, walk away from your job. If it's stressing you out that bad, and you'll figure it out, because you never know in today's economy. You might walk away from your job and you might not find something for 3-4 months. You have rent to pay, you're living paycheck to paycheck, and now you just walked out of your job. Now you can't pay your rent. You can't put food on the table. And what are you gonna do then? If you can't find a job right away, you're really, really screwed. So, to me, unless you really have a lot of money and you can afford to just walk away from your job, or maybe if you're younger, maybe living at home with your parents and you can afford to walk away from your job, my suggestion would be to look for another job and keep that bad job just so you can pay your bills in the meantime. Don't just walk away from a job if you can't afford to pay your bills without that job. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, or you just have a tiny little bit of money put away, don't walk away from that job. And I know this might sound counterintuitive to a video I put up about 2 years ago about mandatory overtime shouldn't be mandatory, but that's a different topic. I don't think mandatory overtime should be legal. Having said that, if you work a job that sucks, but you continue to do it to feed your family, but you continue to do it to pay your bills, that's totally justifiable in my opinion. So I just want to put that out there. Don't just walk away from your job if you don't have a backup plan, if you don't have another job in place, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, if you're struggling to pay bills as it is. Because the stress of not having a job and trying to pay bills and possibly losing the roof over your head, for a lot of people, is a lot higher than working a job that sucks. So, anyway, I just see these videos that just pop up from time to time, and I click them, and it's like, the guy will be like, well, if you hate your job, don't go in tomorrow. Just quit the job. And it's like, David Ramsey even had a video a couple years ago, which I think a lot of his advice now is kind of outdated, if I'm being totally honest. But he had a video, I think he's like driving in his car, just like 5-6 years ago now. And he's like, if you hate your job, quit your job. If you have the stress of the job, just quit. If the job is stressing you out, just quit the job. It's like, dude, you're worth like millions of dollars by teaching people these baby steps that, are basically common sense ways to get out of debt. You're just telling people how to do it because people can't figure it out on their own. This guy, I don't know. I can go on a rant about David Ramsey. David Ramsey will tell someone that they should get a bigger shovel and work 3 jobs to get out of debt rather than just go bankrupt and try to rebuild from there, where you don't, at least, you'll be bankrupt. You'll have bankruptcy on your record for 7 years, but Would you rather work 2 or 3 jobs for 7 to 10 years trying to pay off these medical bills, whatever bills you had, maybe from a divorce, trying to keep up, or would you rather just go bankrupt and start from scratch? He'll tell you not to go bankrupt, and he'll tell you you better pay your bills, but he went bankrupt. So to me, Dave Ramsey, for the most part, is a hypocrite. A lot of times, I listen to a show and I think to myself, these people should just go bankrupt and just start over. It'd be a lot simpler than trying to work 3 jobs, trying to get a bigger shovel, which a lot of people can't do. It's hard if you live in a certain spots of the country where there aren't a lot of jobs. Telling someone who's maybe $50,000 in medical debt, oh, just get a bigger shovel. I mean, if people could do that, they would. That's like common sense. Even now, I have money in the bank, and I can pay my mortgage. But if I could get a bigger shovel, if I could just walk out there tomorrow and get a job making twice as much money, obviously, I would do that. So that's not always the best advice. But I'm sort of getting off topic. So anyway, that's just something I've been thinking about. That's been on my mind that I just felt like talking about was about quitting your job and how to quit your job. If you can't afford to quit your job, don't just walk away from your job. I don't care how bad it is. If walking away from your job could cost you your roof over your head, could cost you putting food on the table, don't walk away from your job. Find a job in the meantime while you're working that job, and then when you leave that job, you'll have another job lined up. So, anyway, that's just all I want to talk about.